Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's The Art of Possible with Generative AI. My name is Joshua Komolafe. I'm the ADIH AI Training Research Coordinator. And today I'll be taking you through this session where we focus on the use of GenAI for data analysis. Today I have with me my colleagues, Rami and Natalie, who will be helping out in the chat section. In line with our agenda for the day, we'll get started by having a quick introduction into how generative AI is relevant to data analysis. Afterwards, we will have a quick overview of the evolution of AI in data analysis and how Gen AI-driven data analysis techniques are benefiting the data analysis process. Furthermore, we will look at Gen AI's impact on SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and public services. In our next agenda, we will go into a practical session on how Gen AI is actually being used for data analysis using the POE platform. Subsequently, we will discuss the strengths and limitations of Gen AI in data analysis. And finally, our key takeaways and call to action. If you have any questions in the course of this session, please drop them in the chat and my colleague Rami will be answering them. Let's take note of this disclaimer. The ADIH program is co-funded by the European Commission and Enterprise Ireland. However, any views or opinions expressed today are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of our funders. Any generative AI applications shown are for demonstration purposes only and do not imply endorsement. Let's begin with a foundational question. What is generative AI and why it does matter in data analysis? Gen AI refers to AI systems that can generate new original content or data by learning patterns from existing data sets. That means it doesn't just analyze, it creates as well. This fundamentally changes how we approach data analysis in this day and age. Its relevance spans across sectors from small businesses to public services. It helps to streamline operations, derive deeper insights, and support evidence-based decision-making. Rather than relying on manual efforts, Gen AI can automate data cleaning, identify complex patterns, and generate insightful reports at scale. The result of this is the fact that analysts and decision makers can move faster, focus on strategic thinking, and ultimately make better decisions backed by smart AI-enhanced analytics. This is why Gen AI isn't just a tool, it's a transformation in how data is being used and understood. Now let's take a quick journey through the evolution of data analysis and AI. It all began in the 1950s to 60s with statistical foundations like regression analysis and probability theory, laying the groundwork for all future developments. In the 70s and 80s, the database revolution took hold with SQL, structured query language, and relational databases enabling structured data management. Moving on to the 90s, data mining and warehousing, including OLAP, online analytical processing, started helping organizations extract business value from data. The 2000s marked the machine learning rebirth, introducing algorithms like SVMs, vector machines, and neural networks, with R language becoming popular for analysis. From 2010 onwards, big data and cloud platforms like Adobe, NoSQL, and AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, and GCP, Google Cloud Platform, reshaped scalability. Then came deep learning like TensorFlow, PyTorch, GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and BERT, bidirectional encoder representations from transformers, powering breakthroughs. Most recently, AutoML, automated machine learning, XAI, explainable AI, LLMs, large language models, and diffusion models have democratized how we assess AI. And now, multimodal AI allows AI to work across text, images, and more, with AI agents autonomously generating insights like human intervention. We've come a long way and it's only accelerating. Today, with Gen AI, we are entering a new era. It's not just about predicting past trends, but generating new unseen patterns, simulating complex scenarios, and even producing narratives from data to enhance decision making across industries. Evolution of AI and data analysis. Let's assess Gen AI driven techniques, starting with the types of data analysis. In this day and age of Gen AI, when working with data, it's essential for us to understand the four key types of data analysis, such as descriptive analysis, which looks back and tells us what must have happened in a scenario. Diagnostic analysis, on the other hand, goes a step further to explain why it happened by uncovering root causes. Then we have predictive analysis, which uses historical patterns to forecast future outcomes. And finally, prescriptive analysis, which recommends specific actions based on those predictions we got earlier, helping us not just to see the future, but to act on it. For the purpose of this webinar, we will be practicalizing predictive analysis to predict possible future outcomes based on the available data set. Now, let's actually look at the Gen AI-driven data analysis techniques. For starters, we can use prompt-based data querying to simply ask questions in plain English and retrieve relevant data. Then there's a scenario-based forecasting where we tweak variables like pricing or sales to simulate future outcomes. We can also train Gen AI for anomaly detection, identifying irregularities or outliers in real time. When we combine this with automated data cleaning and transformation, we get cleaner, standardized data sets without hours of manual work. And once the data is in shape, Gen AI helps with insight summarization, condensing complex dashboards into clearer narratives. It even supports narration generation for visualizations, explaining charts or KPIs in natural language. Then, through conversational analytics interfaces, users can interact with data like chatting with a colleague. And when it's time to report, Gen AI offers AI-assisted report drafting, speeding up executive summaries and insights documentation. Also, advanced capabilities like synthetic data generation enable safe training and simulation, just like the data sets we are using for our practical session. Lastly, or formats such as text, images, even video for deeper, richer insights. It's truly an all-in-one analytics assistant. Now, let's talk about the real-world impact of Gen AI, specifically right here in Ireland. According to research from Microsoft and Trinity College Dublin, generative AI could contribute up to 250 billion euros to Ireland's GDP by 2035. And sectors like life sciences are expected to see 20% productivity boost, while financial services could see up to 30%. For small and medium-sized enterprises, the impact is already being felt. Gen AI is helping them streamline operations, personalize customer experiences, and drive revenue growth. Now, in public services, the potential is equally transformational. Accenture estimates that 42% of working hours in Irish public services outside healthcare can be enhanced with Gen AI. Now, that's a leap in efficiency, enabling smarter service delivery and faster, more informed planning and decision making. The message is clear. Gen AI isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a national, economic, and strategic opportunity, and the time to act is now. We are now going into our practical section, but just before we do that on the POE platform, let's have an overview of this platform. So POE.com offers access to several advanced AI models like DeepSeek, OpenAI's GPT 4.5, and Anthropic's Cloud 3.7 Sonnet. Why basic features are 22.99 euros per month or 299.99 euros per year. For privacy concerns, look for privacy shields over here if you can see me hovering. So look for a privacy shield icon on each bot. Fully shaded means your data stays private and isn't used for training. Half shaded means no, it might allow developers to view anonymized chats. It's advisable to check these indicators before sharing sensitive information. Going to our practical session proper now. The data sets used for this session are synthetic data sets. So a synthetic data set is artificially generated data that mimics the properties of real-world data using algorithms, simulations, or models. It is often used for training machine learning models, testing systems, or preserving privacy when the real data is scarce or sensitive. So let me quickly show you how you can generate a synthetic data. Just so I generated the synthetic data outside the POE platform. I actually did that on the enterprise version of ChatGPT, or the premium version rather. So this is the prompt: generate a synthetic CSV dataset with at least 1,000 rows and 8 columns, simulating seasonal daily food and beverage sales for an Irish business in Ireland, with daily sales for 3 years up to February 2025. Automatically create relevant variables relevant to this type of business. Food and market trends in Ireland. Now, in order for you to have a good data set, it is advisable for you to have at least 8 columns and at least 1,000 rows in order for you to get better insights. So now I'm going to hit on the enter button and let's see the data set that will be generated. So the model is taking time to analyze the prompt. So we have our data set ready now. So you can see the columns. We have dates, we have day of week, if the sales was made during the weekend or during the weekday, the month of the year, the type of food, the sales, the types of drinks, and so on and so forth. Now, this isn't just a one-off task. You need to keep refining till you get the kind of features you're looking for. Like when we see the data set we are using for this session, it's actually much more better than this because I kept on refining till I got what I want. But this is just to quickly show us how you can generate a synthetic data set. So you can click over here and you can download the data set. So over here, we can download the data set. That was the code that was using generating the data set to quickly show us how to generate a synthetic data set. Now, let's go into our practical session. So we'll be uploading our very first data set now, which has to do with an Irish food business. So this was the data set that was downloaded just now, the one we just generated. But this is the one we are using for our practical session, the first data set. So I'm simply going to ask this first prompt. What is the nature of the data set? So it's important for us to ask questions like this in order to gain an insight into what the variables in the data set are. So we can see the key features of the data set now. So it contains date, item name, item type, the unit sold. So for the item type, we have dish, snack, beverage, and so on. We have the customer footfall, promotional events that were used in promoting the business. We have the season. So the season were numbered 1 to 4. So 1 represents either spring, and then 2 summer, 3 fall, 4 winter. So now we are going to ask this now. So for starters, you might not have an idea of the kind of questions you want to ask the data set in order to gain predictive insight. Because like I said earlier in this session, we are focused on the best possible predictive analysis on this data set. And we are going to see some prompts now that we could use to gain better insights into the data set. So we could use this prompt over here to gain an insight into forecasting for sales. We could use this prompt for customer behavior analysis and so on. So, each of these prompts, by the time we ask the data set or we interrogate the data set based on this, we gain better insight. But I have some questions that I already prepared to ask, and we can pick one from the prompt as well. So this is my question. What is the expected revenue for Irish breakfast dishes during its season in the coming year? So we're asking it to predict based on the available information in the data set to predict for 2026, because this data set was for some 2023 to 2025 March. So over here, we can see the steps to predict the revenue that the model is using. We can see example calculation using historic data that in the data set, and we can see expected revenue for Irish breakfast. We'll go ahead and ask some more questions now. So this is our response here. So we would ask go ahead and carry out this analysis on the data set. So it's generating a Python code. So the models at times can act like this, whereby they're not getting the exact prompt you want it to carry out. So I'm going to ask it to carry out an analysis based on its own abilities, because I didn't want it to actually generate a Python code. Okay, so since I'm encountering this difficulty, we can use another bot here, um Cloud 3.7 Sonnet. That was just an assistant. So that's why there's a need for us to explore different large language models. When we use this now, we are going to see better ability. So we are going to use this for the data. These questions that we asked earlier. I wanted us to use this model for our second data set because this has better HTML capability. It has better visualization ability. So we can see that this is already carrying out the analysis. I needed us to carry out this analysis with different models. So let's ask for prompts that we asked earlier from the previous model. So right here, we can see that we are using the Cloud 3.7 Sonnet is the latest model for Anthropic. So these are the recommended prompts that we could use to gain better insight. And I'm just going to ask the question that we asked earlier on. And we can see that this has the ability to answer those questions. So it's important that we try out different models, GPT, Claude, and so on and so forth, because they have different capabilities, they have different strengths. So we can see the previous model couldn't answer these questions, but this model is able to carry out the analysis based on the question we asked. Let's go ahead and pick a question from the prompts that was recommended. So we can ask, let's ask this question over here. So we are going to do some visualizations as well. But personally, I like to do the visualization after interrogating the data set. Then I have a dashboard for all the visualizations, or else you could ask for visualizations for each of the answers you get. But we are going to see the beauty of the visualizations in the dashboard when we ask for all of the responses we've gotten. We can go ahead and ask questions like, you can interrogate data further. For example, you can ask which month has the highest footfall so I can forecast for those periods for 2026. So this is the response here. This is the forecasting that's been carried out for 2026. So like I said, the data set was till March 2025. So now this is forecasting for 2025, 2026. So footfall signifies the number of times that customers entered into the restaurant to make a purchase. Now, imagine you want to know, how does the day of the week affect sales patterns? And ask this question as well. So this is the analysis for weekends, Saturday to Sunday, for weekdays, Monday to Friday. Now we are going to visualize all of this and we get to see this in charts. As we all know, charts are great for reports. And let me just show us how we can visualize all of the responses we've done so far. In the second data set, we would ask more questions. So our question is, visualize all insights and predictions you have provided from the beginning using relevant charts in a in a dashboard. So now it's generating a HTML code, which is going to help in visualizing all that we've asked so far. So for those of us with non-technical or those of us from non-technical backgrounds, we might not understand what's going on here in terms of the code, but all you need to do is give the prompt. It does all the coding and it provides you visualization of all the predictions we've tried to do so far. So it's taking time because we've asked a lot of questions. So it's taking its time to actually generate a chart for each of those questions we've asked. Now we can see the different graphs or charts that were generated. Now, the beauty of this is you can actually hover around with your mouse to see stew. This is for the seafood. This is for Guinness. So over here, it's showing revenue impact by promotion level. So the business does certain promotions for each of his or each or its items generally. And so based on the level of promotion that were carried out, this were the impact on revenue. And over here, we can see that for coffee, there was no impact. Probably when there were no promotions for coffee. And over here, we have optimal promotion level by item category. Over here, we have a return on investment on the marketing spend by promotion level. And we have the key promotional insights over here. So if you go back here, day of week analysis, remember we asked the question based on sales for weekend and weekdays. So we can see that there are some difficulties here. Like I said, at times you might encounter challenges with large language models. So we can ask for a question that makes it regenerate this chart. So I said, can you regenerate this chart with better understanding for a non-technical audience? So while it's doing that, let's see if it has, so it didn't provide for all. So that is why we have what we call human in the loop. You always have to review every response that large language models give to you because at times there could be error, there could be mistakes. So you need to read through and verify. We are going to also practice calling another model into this conversation to verify all that the model we were previously using had provided. So we would call on the GPT-4 or to verify the responses of Cloud 3.7 Sonnet. And we can see an error over here. Probably one of the reasons why some graphs were not generated or charts were not generated. It's saying script error over here, and we've given it an instruction to regenerate. That's to say, models are not perfect. There's always a need for a human in the loop to verify and re-verify. Like it took some time earlier on, it's still going to take some time, especially when, there seems to be some error in the first prompt we gave. So it might take still showing some script error, but we can see another presentation over here. We can see when you hover around, you get to see what each bar stands for. We can ask for a pie chart instead as well. So we can see for daily patterns for weekend versus weekday sales. We can see average daily sales for weekdays. We can see average daily sales for weekends. We can see sales through the weekday over here. For Monday, we have the highest sales in Saturday and also on Sunday. So when we go to customer trends over here, we can see the monthly customer visits. So we can see January was quite high. March as well. We have December because it's a festive period. We have our promotions affect customer visits over here. When we go to 2026 planning, so we can see there's a forecast on the kind of planning that the business could carry out in order to improve on its profitability for 2026. We still have some errors here, but we'll rectify that in our data, in our second data set. So if we interrogate further for it to fix that error, it will do that, but because of time, asking, compile the all data insights and charts you have provided into a report. Suggested reported audience, non-technical. The purpose of the report to provide insight on how to improve the profitability of the business. So there was a mistake there, but let's leave that on. Let's leave the mistake there and see if the model actually recognizes what we are trying to ask. So it has the ability to actually correct typographical errors or grammatical errors. So we have our report here. Today is the 1st of April over here. You can search your company logo here. So we have the executive summary. We have the key findings, recommended actions over here. We have the promotional impact analysis, what this means for profit, customer visit patterns based on the chart we saw earlier on. We have the weekly patterns, what this means for profit. We have the day-specific sales analysis over here. We have the promotional strategy optimization. Because of time, we won't be able to read through, but the recording will be made available to us. We have the growth opportunities for 2026 over here. The key implementation steps. So we can see that it didn't just carry out quantitative analysis, but it was able to carry out a qualitative analysis as well and provide qualitative insights into how to improve the profitability of the business for 2026. Now, to make this report available to maybe the shareholders or stakeholders and so on, so all you need to do is copy this executive summary and all of those into a Word document. And in order to insert these charts into your report, you can take a screenshot of this. For example, click on screenshot. You can take screenshots of this and insert them into where they belong in your chart. Like if you scan through, you see where it was talking about promotions, monthly customer visits, and all of that. But personally, this is what I would do in order to help stakeholders to gain this real-time experience we are having over here, so they could hover around as well. So in addition to screenshotting and putting it in the report, you can go up here and click on publish. You can change the name if you want to. This is the code that was the old code that was used in generating the dashboard. We have it over here. All you need to do is click on publish over here, continue without editing. You might edit if you want to, and copy this link over here and make it available, put it in your report or make it available to stakeholders. Now we can see the chart has been published. You can see here. So just make this link. You can actually copy the link as well and try it right now. Let me put the link in the chat box so we can quickly have an experience of it. I'll put it in the chat. I have the link in the chat now. So we can see how we can actually compile this as a report and make it available to anyone that needs to go through the report. So now, because of time, we'll be going to explore our second data set. We will be using Claude 3.7 Sonnet again. And this data set has to do with, I choose the data set to be relatable for those in public services. And it has to do with educational budgets. This is the data set. And we are going to ask this question. What is the nature of the data set? So we can see what the nature of the data set is. When you read through, you would see what it entails. It includes records for both primary and post-primary schools across multiple counties in Dublin, just like we did earlier on. This was also synthetically generated. So we can go ahead and ask this question as well to make some prompts available that we could use to gain better insights. So these are possible prompts that we could ask. Let's ask this question. And we'll pick one question from the prompt as well. So we are asking for an outcomes to predict the general direction of educational metrics in 2026. So we have our response over here. We have our educational outcome trends. We have dropout rates for pupils. We have retention rates. We have staffing trends, the pupil to teacher ratio. So these are the predictions for 2026 for capital expenditure, operational expenditure, the literacy rate, dropout rate, and so on. Let's pick one question from the prompts that were suggested earlier on. Um, let's ask for this. Analyze the relationship between total students, teacher counts, and educational outcomes. What is the optimal school size for maximizing performance metrics? We can see our analysis over here. We are going to visualize all of this as well. So these are the key findings. We are going to include this, all of these are going to be included in the one-off report we are going to create and also in the charts. So we can further ask questions for more predictions, such as general educational metrics for 2020. Using only the 2021 to 2023 data, build a simple model to predict 2024 outcomes, then compare with actual 2024 data to assess prediction accuracy. So let's see what happens here. So a simple regression model is being used here to carry out this prediction. Yeah, so most of the metrics that are being used, or most of the model that is being used in making the prediction, those of us with non-technical background might not be able to understand what's going on with that. But the good thing is with the charts, we would be able to understand, and with the report as well, we will be able to understand all of these calculations. So we have our prediction accuracy by school characteristics for school level, school size, county level analysis as well. So we have our key predictors based on modeled coefficients. We have the literacy rate, the dropout rate, the retention rate, but we get a better understanding when we get to visualize and also to get our reports. So this is the end of that. Let's ask one more. Let's go back to the prompts that were generated and ask one more question. So we can ask this question. I think we asked something similar earlier on. Let's ask this question here. Identify schools with unexpected performance metrics, given their resources, and create a predictive model to flag potential issues in resource allocation. So this is the response provided. So in our reports, we would get to see all of this in there so we can get a better understanding. So the predictive model for resource allocation issues, a decision tree model was used. Yeah, earlier on, it used the regression, the simple regression. And this is the conclusion. So now we are going to ask for a visualization of all the responses so far. And we will have it in a dashboard. So it's using a HTML code again to carry out the visualization task. It's going to take some time to generate the visualization for this as well, because we've asked quite a number of questions, and the data set for this is a little bit more complicated than the previous data sets, because that only had, types of dishes, types of beverages, but this has more complex variables inside of it. So it might take some time. There's also another option to HTML, but HTML is the best. It enables you to hover around. It puts all the chat in a dashboard. So there's another tool it could use called React, but HTML is the best in terms of having the dashboard experience and being able to publish the chat and make it available. So we have our chat here for year-over-year trends, 2021 to 2025. So for funding trends, we have this here. For 2021, operational expenditure was about 10 million, 10.19 million euros. Free school book funding for 2021 is about 7.5 thousand euros. We have for 2022 as well. We have for 2023. We have till 2025, and we have the projected for 2026 for next year. Educational outcomes for 2021. This is the literacy rate, 98.33%. So we could ask for this literacy rate based on counties as well. It's projecting based on the years, but we could ask for it to provide based on the counties, maybe for Dublin and so on. We have the staffing trends over here. We have the school size optimization analysis. We have the optimal school configuration. We have the 2024 prediction model. Earlier on, we gave a prompt that it should use the data from 2021 to 2023 to predict for 2024 and compare it to the actual 2024. So predicted for 2024 is this, the predicted is this, the actual is this. So we can see the accuracy rates. Over here we have 98.40, 98.40. So we can see they're both the same. Over here, I think there's a slight difference for the retention rate, but they're almost the same as well. We can see for the dropout rates, the prediction is the same. You can see the model performance metrics over here. Resource allocation anomalies. You can see that over here as well. So we can ask for it to generate the literacy rate based on counties. So there are a number of counties in question. We have Dublin and some other counties. So we can ask for it to do that. But now we won't be able to combine the two dashboards. So we would have to make available the two links for the two different dashboards and make them available in our report. We are going to generate a report as well for all of these responses. And in the chat or make it available to stakeholders. So over here, we add for primary schools here. Let's see for post-primary schools. So we can see the optimal range for post-primary schools. We can see the effects over here. We can go ahead to ask it to create different tabs for, because it has it all put together here. We can request for a different tab for funding trends. So there'll be a different tab over here, a different tab for educational outcomes, like we saw in the previous data set we did. So because of time, we wouldn't have to do that yet because we did that earlier on, or it's presented that earlier on. So we can prompt it to do that. So we can see there's an error. So like I said, models are not perfect. I can copy this error code here and make it available to you so you can correct what the errors are. So it's apologizing for the errors in the code. It wants to provide a corrected version of the visualization that fixes these issues. So when at times, like I haven't seen that often, but at times when errors come up like this, all you need to do is copy it and paste it into the chat, and then it recognizes that it's an error code and it attempts to fix the code in order to provide better response. It's important we always remember the need for a human in the loop, verifying the prompts, verifying the responses. So mistakes or errors are not included in reports when using large language models or generative AI tools. It's important that we always verify, like the errors we've encountered so far. It was important that it came up so we could know how to verify errors when they come up. So we can see now for 2024, 2025, 2023, 2021, all years. So we can see the average literacy rate by county, Dublin as the highest. We have Cork following suit. We have Galway and the rest of them. And we have the year-over-year literacy rate trends as well for 2021, 2022, 2023. We have the county map. We have the county statistics over here. We have the detailed data over here. So this is just for, I said it's better to generate a one-for-all dashboard. So these charts here are for the literacy rates by county alone. So like we did earlier on, all we need to do is to publish this and make the link available so the stakeholders can gain a better insight. So what we are going to do now is to generate a report for all the responses so far. So one thing I want us to note here is the previous data set, we asked for the purpose of the report to be for the prediction of profitability, but here we are not going to give it a purpose and let's see who the target audience would be and what purpose it will give to it as well. So you can see prepared for Department of Education and Skills, the dates, the purpose. Like I said, I didn't give it a purpose. So to provide a comprehensive assessment of Irish education system performance from 2021 to 2025, identify key trends and suggest resource allocation strategies to optimize educational outcomes. So we have our executive summary and so on. So you see, it doesn't have the ability to take a shot of those charts and impute them here. So where we had the county level performance assessment, we can take a screenshot and impute it here ourselves, or we make the link available, like I said earlier on. So that's the end of our practical session. And it's important that we quickly take note of the strengths and limitations of GenAI in data analysis. Just like some of the limitations we encountered during the practical session, it's important that, we make mention of this. So why GenAI brings impressive strengths to data analysis, it has lingering limitations as well. It is proving that it can significantly enhance productivity by automating repetitive tasks. It also delivers quick insight and summaries, helping teams to detect trends and anomalies in real time. However, with GenAI, you can even generate synthetic data like the data we used for our practical session, which is useful when working with sensitive or limited real-world data. And all this adds up to one major benefit, cost efficiency. But we must also be clear-eyed about its limitations. GenAI isn't always accurate, especially with vague prompts or edge cases. It lacks deep contextual understanding, struggling with nuances like sarcasm or cultural meaning and so on. There are also data privacy risk, particularly when sensitive information is used during the process of using the model. And for many businesses, customizing Gen AI tools to fit specific workflows or industry needs is still a challenge. Most importantly, it's only as good as the data it's fed. Poor input equals poor output. So how do we address these challenges? We need to always pair Gen AI with human oversight. There's always a need for a human in the loop, especially in high stakes analysis, similar to the one we did. Invest in high quality Gen AI tools, representative data, and use privacy enhancing technologies, often offered on a premium plan, to ensure the data they upload or we upload won't be used to train the model. These are our key takeaways from this session. As we wrap up, it's clear that Gen AI is not just a buzzword. It's a strategic lever for data transformation. Whether you operate a small business or serve in a government department, Gen AI offers pathways to automate the mundane, extract deeper insights, and build predictive capabilities that were previously out of reach. Gen AI is not just theoretical, it's actionable, and it's already being used to make real differences. Your next step would be to take action by continuously exploring and experimenting. Use GenAI platforms to analyze and visualize data and focus on quality data input. You will be surprised at how quickly insights surface when GenAI is deployed purposefully. If you have personally tried using GenAI for data analysis and had any challenges, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be dropping my email in the chat. So thank you. Now we'll be taking our questions. I'm sure my colleague Rami has been in the chat section answering some of our questions.
Yeah, so most of the questions were answered. Just a couple of them, I know we are running out of time, so we will try to make this as quickly as possible. So one of the main questions here were for the link that you shared earlier.
Yeah.
They were noting that the data sets or the representation for the 2026 planning is just the same as the 2025 chart. So is this just something from the data set itself, or
So
it's
was
just
it
like maybe something confused by the AI model itself?
so okay. So which one I'm there now?
The 2026 planning versus the 2025 chart.
Okay. So over here we have this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the 2025 monthly sales. So we have the 2025 in the blue, yeah. Then we have the 2026 representing this. So I don't think they're the same. I don't know if that's clear
Mm-hmm.
enough. Yeah. So this here, when I over around it, you can see this represents 2025 and this represents 2026.
2026. Okay, another interesting one was, do you have an idea on how much data can be attached to a platform like Pro.com or any other platform that is useful for data analysis? So how much data is actually big data for this kind of platforms?
Yeah, so for a platform like Pro.com, it has limitations in terms of the the size of data you can upload because it's a third party platform hosting other models. So when you go to the models themselves, you can upload a bigger data set. For example, if you use the premium version of ChatGPT, you can upload thousands of rows. You can upload a data set that has thousands of rows. But for a platform like Pod, that is a third party, you can probably upload from like between 1,000 rows to 2,000 because it's a third party. They're acquiring these models from the providers themselves and hosting it on their platform. And so, the context window, the tokens will be quite small as compared to when you are actually accessing these models themselves from the providers.
Another one that was very interesting also was, okay, so what is the biggest point or the biggest pro here for, let's say you are using here and you're feeling comfortable analysis with your analysis using a model like Claude.
Yeah.
So what is Poe is actually like, what is the biggest value for Poe over me using Claude Portal directly?
Okay, so one of the biggest values you have access to a variety of models. For example, and there was something I said we are going to check earlier. So I can call on another model here. So when you click on ads, you can call on GPT 4.5. This is one of the latest GPT 4.5 preview. You can call on GPT 4.0 search to verify your responses, or you can just simply scroll down. Yeah.
So within the same conversation,
Yeah.
each chat or each message can be
Yeah.
sent to another model
Yeah. You
within
can
the
you
same conversation.
Yeah, you can call in another model to compare or verify. So over here, let's call on GPT 4.5 preview to compare the response that we got earlier on. It's going to, yeah. So we are calling on GPT 4.5 preview to
So
compare.
as if you are benchmarking, like you are sending the same prompt to
Yeah,
multiple AI
yeah,
models and it's
yeah,
seeing what suits you best for your specific use case.
yeah,
Another thing is, or that is gonna be the last thing, is that the link that you shared, or because not all the things you shared, some institutes and some entities still have the AI platforms blocked for IT security reasons.
yeah.
Do you have any idea on how to like be using that while this condition is there, or is this some kind of a conversation that needs to be opened with the administration and how to actually I would put the question in another type. So me as an employee in this kind of entity or institute, what is your recommendation or advice for me on how to open this conversation with administration or management to say that how AI can be benefiting us in our workplace and to open this kind of channel?
So I believe for a company to have placed certain restriction on certain tools, GenAI tools, then there must be some privacy concerns. Like personally, I've tried to use some tools that, I can't access them because our organization doesn't, and the IT team has locked our access to those tools. So you can liaise with the IT team or, your head of department and so on to see if you can present a case of how those tools can actually be very beneficial to your workflow. But if restrictions have been placed on those tools, then there are certain privacy concerns. That's the reason why, especially if the company is not subscribed to a premium plan. For example, the GPT version that we use is a premium plan, and you have the option of either allowing your data to be used in training the model or not. You can actually turn it off. So my advice that I would give
So you
is,
have more control over your data
yeah,
when you are
yeah,
subscribed into more specific tiers or more specific subscriptions.
yeah. Yeah, so personally, if you use personal Gen AI tools and you pay personally for them, I would advise you use them, but be careful about putting your organization data into those models because that's the reason why the IT administrators have put it off in the first place because they've probably found it to have certain privacy concerns and they don't want the information about the company being uploaded on those generative AI tools or generative AI platforms.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you for your webinar today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we hope to see you in our subsequent webinars. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Thank you, Rami.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.